Welcome to the Zen AF Hustle Podcast. I'm your host, Julia Garcia Devaney. I'm a life and mindset coach for female founders, and my mission is to help thousands of ambitious, busy women become the number one asset in their life and business. Tune in as I share with you the behind the scenes of my own ambitious journey and help you bring the Zen back into your hustle so you can create the impact you desire and truly love your own ambitious journey as well. Welcome, and let's get into the episode. Hello, my ambitious babes. How are you guys doing? How are you feeling? I'm so happy to be here with you today on this beautiful Thursday. I'm going to try to make this a quick episode. I don't really know what it's going to be called just yet because, as I riff, it usually kind of changes up a little bit in terms of the theme. But what's coming to me right now is kind of this idea of failure and navigating failure, and also this idea of consistency. Let me explain. I feel like I kind of experienced a little bit of failure these last couple of weeks in terms of some things that are going on in my business. I decided to kind of close the doors on my online membership for the time being. Not the free version or the online community or anything like that, but more so the paid membership portion of it. I just realized I wanted it to look a little bit more different than how it's been looking. I realized I needed a lot more time than I had allowed myself to have in order for it to look that way. And I also think that the pricing needs to be a little bit different as well, as much as it kind of pains me in a sense, but I think that it's going to be good for everyone overall. So there's a lot of things coming up with that and things that I'm working on, especially because I'm building out my Zen AF Hustle Academy in there. And with all these new things that I'm learning in my master certification program, I just felt like it could be a lot better given the new things that I'm learning, because they are much more equipped for a group setting, a course setting, and things like that. So I have some fun things planned, and it feels like a failure because, I love to be quote unquote consistent and hate kind of like having to shut things down, but it is really going to be the best thing for everybody. But I would be lying if I said I didn't feel like a little bit of a failure that this first round didn't work out, right? But that's the thing with failure. Sometimes we give things, we underestimate how much work and time some things take. And then when they don't pan out exactly that way, it can be difficult for us not to take it personally or feel down about it, or just disappointed in some way. And ultimately, it kind of has reminiscent feelings of, oh, I failed at this. I underestimated it. I didn't do enough. I wasn't consistent enough, or something like that, right? Which I feel like, again, I've been very consistent with my offerings inside the membership. I showed up every single, I don't think there was 1 week that I did not show up. I literally can actually remember one time that I was so ill that I couldn't show up. But I have shown up, rain, sunshine, travel, kids, anything. I've always showed up to those calls, and I'm really, really proud about that. However, what I hadn't shown up enough for was kind of like the marketing side of it. And so that ended up being really difficult to do, along with building out the content inside. So I'm going to just take a pause on the actual membership part of it. Now that, the year has finished out and most people have finished their contracts they've finished their subscription with the app, I can take a little hold on it to really build up what I want inside and be able to really market it in a way that feels genuine and authentic, because there's so many different components and really only one of the components was ready, which was the weekly coaching and calls and stuff like that. So when we experience these failures, it could be anything. It could be in business. It could be with any kind of goal. It could be with fitness. It can be with, health or whatnot. It could be in life. And you guys have heard me navigate the seasons of my life, especially with, pregnancy and kids and so on and so forth. So you have heard me navigate all these different seasons, and what has really helped me kind of really understand this notion of failing is number one, just like not internalizing it, right? Not making it mean anything about you. And if you are able to do that, then you can sustain the energy basically to try again, right? Problem solve, re strategize, however you want to put it. And as many of you guys know, I've coined these 3 different mindset pitfalls that can essentially, allow you to quit or fail or what have you. And staying out of these mindset pitfalls is what's going to ultimately help you keep going and stay in the game and ultimately reach that level of success that you want to reach. Those 3 mindset pitfalls are the all or nothing mindset pitfall, the shiny object mindset pitfall, and the out of power mindset pitfall. And I won't go into each and every one of those right now, but ultimately, things that we encounter along the way are kind of what falls into those mindset pitfalls. But the one thing that I want to talk about right now, which has been very consistent, no pun intended, in coaching clients and students that they always want, it just never fails. Like they always believe if they had this one thing, they would indeed be successful. And that is consistency. Like they just feel like if they are able to show up more consistently, do the things that they need to be doing more consistently, they will be able to reach the level of success that they want to reach with whatever result that they are striving for. And while this can very much be true, and I definitely have taken so much of my time and energy and effort to define look into consistency and define so many different concepts in regards to consistency to help my clients and students. I have looked at it thoroughly, and what I find is that while it is true that that is something that could indeed help, and I believe in the compound effect, I believe in showing up however you can, staying in the game however you can, whatever it looks like, even if it's like that 1%, just having that steady stream of energy in the same direction towards the same goal. I do believe that, you will eventually reach the, levels that you want to reach for sure. But I also believe that there's so much more involved in terms of mindset and these mindset pitfalls and stuff, like more so just like how your thoughts and your emotions come into play in regards to the consistency, which is why I have developed so many different concepts in regards to it. And, what I really want to offer is that, because as you guys might know, like that my definition does not mean rigidity. It does not mean that you have to do the same exact thing every single day. Again, it's just that steady stream of energy in the same direction. And as the metaphor I like to use is like the moon phases in the sky, right? At every given point, every given night, the moon is present, but it just looks different and could look different, especially because, life is cyclical. Women, especially, we're cyclical in terms of our energy and our being. So, as long as there's a steady stream of energy going in the same direction, I don't believe in rigidity. I don't believe that everything needs to look exactly the same every single day. And not a lot of us are set up that way, right? If you're into human design at all, you'll know that, some of those, some people thrive on that and some people don't. I personally am half and half, really, when it comes down to that. But I think that something that is more useful to look at is really your ability to trust yourself, your self-trust and your self-love, which is ultimately your confidence. The way I define it is that those 2 things make up your confidence in who you are, right? And I believe if you have more confidence than you do consistency, then you will just find consistency naturally. And let me explain what that means. That means that if you are working towards something and let's say one day you're just not, like life is happening, life is lifing, you're not able to show up the way that you usually show up. Maybe you're not able to show up at all. It is very common that most of us will beat ourselves up, fall into those mindset pitfalls and ultimately, think the wrong thoughts and feel the wrong emotions. And like, I hate saying the word wrong because nothing is wrong. However, they're just not useful. Let's just say that. So we will fall into unuseful emotions, unuseful thoughts about ourselves, about our journey, about our results, about our deservingness, about our abilities and capabilities, and, whatever, what have you. And instead of just refocusing on the love for ourselves, the kindness for ourselves, the trust in ourselves to do the things that we say that we're going to do. So, as I've told you guys, like, I have been pretty out of commission these last few weeks, the last many weeks actually, because of that first trimester nausea and fatigue that I was experiencing. Luckily, I'm in my second trimester feeling a lot better. And so I really tussled with a lot of these concepts during that time, and, definitely looked at so much of what I was feeling and thinking and doing and all that stuff. And, what I kept coming back to is that, something that was useful for me, right? That really helped me get through those days, right? Where I wanted nothing more but to be efficient and effective and productive and feel healthy and vibrant and all the things that I usually feel. Like, going from one extreme to the other is not easy by any means, right? Like, just because I understand all of these things conceptually does not mean that I am exempt from feeling all those things as well, right? It just means that, so it's just not easy. It just means that I understand it a lot better and I'm a little bit more self-aware, but it does not by any means make it easier, right, in the moment. And so I still have to go through those experiences and feel everything that most of you feel, in during your experiences as well. So, it was not easy going from being a whole different kind of person to now being so incapable and unable and all the things, right? And then also, that out of power mindset of like comparing yourself to others and just seeing how others are being, able to like live their lives normally and stuff, like all of that. It sucks. It still sucks. I am not exempt from, experiencing those mindset pitfalls, but I am experienced in trying to find better thoughts, trying to find better emotions that are more useful so that I can, actually have a better experience, a better journey, and turn those things around without bypassing it, right? Without, that positive, what is it called? Like a positivity, by whatever it's called, where I'm not just trying to be positive all that time. No, I felt the feels, I felt it all. And then after I felt it, I, was deciding, for myself, like, what does this really mean? Like, what can I really look forward to, like after, when I'm through this? And it was like, honestly, the fact that I know when I feel better, not if I feel better, but when I feel better, I trust myself to get up and get going again. And not only will I get up and get going again, but I will be able to do the things that I need to do in half the time that I would be able to do it if I try to force myself to do it in this moment, right? And that's what a lot of people don't get, right? Sometimes it doesn't help you to just push, right? It helps you, to push through the discomfort and whatever. Sometimes it is very much a season of being kind to yourself, practicing being kind to yourself and honoring yourself, your mind, body, and soul, right? And you only know that, as you guys know, my push and be kind concept, you only know that when you have practice tuning in, when you have practice listening to yourself, when you have practice trusting yourself, acting on those impulses, and then evaluating those things. That's how you build that inner intuition, that inner knowing of what it is that you need at any given moment. So luckily, these are these internal resources and skill sets that I have practiced so much of my own, on my own, with all the, kind of learnings that I've had, right? And all the concepts and things that I've developed. This is why I have all of those things, because these are the experiences I come up against in life, right? In life, when life is happening, right? Because again, I'm not exempt from that at all. And so, what I realized is in that moment was like, it's not so much about this consistency that all my students and clients, desperately want, right? And they seek that accountability, they seek, coaching and stuff like that, and that support, which is, amazing, right? But I think a better focus, because life will happen to you, and it can happen, and it will happen, and it gets to happen. And what's going to happen to your consistency then, right? And more importantly, what's going to happen to your mindset then, your thoughts, your emotions, all of those things, right? Are you going to fall into those mindset pitfalls, or are you going to rely on those internal resources, of trust and love for yourself, that you're going to get back to it, right? And for me, it was really that. It was really understanding that despite how I feel in this moment, right? The question is like, not like, am I being consistent enough right now in my business and in my life and in my motherhood and in my wife and like wifely duties and like whatever. Like, it wasn't that, right? Because the truth of the matter is, if like I didn't have my health and I didn't have my, my own like just wellness abilities, right? Like, nobody has nothing from me. Nobody gets nothing from me. Nobody gets any kind of consistency. Like, it is me first, right? I have to take care of myself first. There's no business, there's no family life, there's no nothing, right? I am, just a horizontal on a bed, unable. So the question was, it's like not like, oh, am I being consistent enough? Am I failing at this? Am I whatever? It's, do I trust myself to hear myself, hear what I need, understand what I need in this moment, right? And give myself that, and also get back up and keep going, right? When I feel ready to. And so I woke up on, 2 days after I reached 13 weeks, pregnant, and I felt like myself again, and I took off. I handled everything I needed to handle in my home, everything I needed to handle in my business, everything I needed to handle with my kids. I handled it all. I mean, like, let's be real. I still had to show up quite a bit for my kids. Teacher Appreciation Week, all the things, right? Like, there's silent battles that, I have had, and many moms specifically and women have, that, don't make it onto the social medias. But and we get through it. Like, it was like some of the hardest moments where I literally had to show up and I like be kind and push myself, even though all I wanted to do was just be kind to myself, right? But I held on to the thought of trusting myself. I held on to that internal resource of self-trust and self-love, that I was showing myself love and I was showing myself trust, because I was gonna do it, get up and go when I am ready. And that's the thing that a lot of people don't understand, is like, when they feel that season of rest coming, even if it's like a fitness goal or something like that, and like 1 week you don't feel like working out or what have you, like, are you beating yourself up, or are you trusting yourself, right? Are you beating yourself up for lack of consistency, or are you trusting that you are going to get up and go when you feel like it's right for you, right? And this is the thing, like, that we have to look at. We have to look at those internal resources, your intuition, your inner knowing, right? Your self-trust and your self-love. If those things are not being exercised, if they're not intact, then, clearly you will be in those mindset pitfalls. You will be beating yourself up. It will not feel good. Your journey will not be enjoyable. And that's the thing, right? You do not need rigidity. You do not need rigidity to get the results that you want. Does it help? Sure, right? Does it feel good? Probably not. Because again, life is always going to come at you, and it gets to, right? You get to have different things surprise and delight you, or also not be so delightful, right? There's different things that come up all the time. There's injuries, there's pregnancies, there's big moves, there's big transitions, there's layoffs, there's, kids, there's all sorts of life that happens on a day-to-day basis that you just don't expect it. It is always going to be happening. There is not one journey that I have ever heard of that has no life happening in it, that things are not coming at them in a way that is like, I didn't plan for this, right? Of course not, right? So I didn't plan to like feel so miserable. I planned to have a baby. I didn't plan to feel so miserable, right? You forget. They literally have hormones that go into your brain afterwards, and you completely forget so that you can keep procreating, right? Stay out of those mindset pitfalls, right? Stay out of those mindset pitfalls. Be kind to yourself and understand that rigidity is not what's necessary here, right? It is simply those internal resources. Do you trust yourself? Do you love yourself enough that you know that when that internal knowing hits you, that impulse hits you, or you feel better or what have you, you know it's time to go again? That's what matters, right? That is really ultimately what matters. That's what keeps you staying in the game. And not just that, right? Not just that, not just achieving, but also enjoying this journey, loving yourself through this journey, right? Because you can get there many different ways. Many different ways you can get there. There's a million ways to get it, right? Choose the one that's going to feel good as well, right? That you're not beating yourself up along the way, that you're not hating yourself along the way, right? That you are just like, how just you want to think about it like, with the end in mind. How do you want to look back on this journey? Do you want to say, like, well, yes, but I hated myself through it all and I hated like my whole journey through it all? Okay, but like, is that really what you want to say? Or do you want to say, I thrived through it all, not just survived? And so when I talk about those life happenings and stuff like that, those are the things that feel like failure. Those are the things that feel like, oh my God, I got to stop here. Like, like I'm being hindered there or whatever. Those are the things that, really do feel like failure. It just didn't pan out the way I thought it was going to pan out. It wasn't a perfect little straight line towards what I want. And, that's often like the misconception, right? And that's often why we experience that failure, don't turn them into pivots and don't turn them into learnings and things like that, right? Which was what they should be. Just more alignment, more fuel to your alignment, which was the other, that is the other definition that I have for failure. So, like I said, I feel like I've been experiencing quite a bit of that lately, and a lot of it is hormones, where, you just feel like you're feeling at so many different things. And, I just really am trying to show you how I navigate through those difficult thoughts and those difficult emotions that come along with failure, right? And again, like, I've really strengthened my relationship with failure so much, and and what I like why I love to teach about it, because I feel like the biggest misconception is that it even exists. It just doesn't really exist. The only way to fail is to absolutely quit, right? It's the only way. But everything else is like learning, and it's, even if it's learning about yourself, even if it's strengthening internal resources versus external resources for some time, right? All of that is going to serve you. You never know why it's happening. There's always a bigger picture out there, and you never know, when it's going to come in handy, and why, and what life is really preparing you for. So embrace all of the failures as learnings, because that's truly all they are. Embrace them all as, more alignment, more redirection towards the right thing, right? And, like even like this, failure that I have, that I feel I have had with like my membership. I mean, I have been literally having dreams about it, of like how I'm going to, make it better, do better, and like show up 10 times stronger. And then like there's just so many things that I just couldn't have anticipated, and there's other projects that have been taking more precedent and stuff. And like, right, like it's just, you only have so much energy for so many things. So, do right by people as much as you can, and, do right by yourself and stay in that integrity, which is really what I've been doing, is just trying to stay in integrity with everything that I offer. And, I feel like it's finally the right time to do what I need to do in terms of my membership, and work on the content on the back end. As hopefully, I feel like I'm about to finish out my master certification in these next couple of months, which is really exciting. So, yeah, I hope that this helps anybody that is maybe experiencing some of those hard emotions and some of those difficult thoughts, some of those mindset pitfalls, and hopefully, like, reframing what consistency means, and what's necessary for success, really helps you, right? And again, sometimes it's not about just the consistency. Sometimes it really is about those internal resources of self-trust and self-love. Ultimately, your confidence in you. Can you trust yourself? Can you love yourself enough to do the hard things, keep going, and show up bigger, better, stronger when you know it's the right time for you, right? All right. I hope this helped, and I will talk to you guys again soon. So, in my link in bio, you will find the wait list for my membership. If you want to stay in touch about that, I don't have a timeline for it, and I don't want to give myself a timeline for it until this project is done with my Zen AF Wellness Planner, which you can also find the waitlist for in my link in bio. Okay, love you guys. Talk to you next week. Thanks for listening, Ambitious Babe. If you loved this episode, take a screenshot and share your favorite takeaways with me at Julia Garcia Devaney, and be sure to leave us a review, as that would mean so much. And if you're ready to put the Zen back into your hustle and love your ambitious journey, be sure to download the Get Zen AF app, where you'll learn to prioritize yourself and truly become the number one asset in your life and business. It's available in the App Store and Google Play. Check out the links in the show notes, and I'll see you inside.